Hi, my name is Paul Perdue, and I am a nerd, and today we are celebrating the second Monday of the month. And to celebrate the second Monday of the month, we've started doing something around here we like to call the Worldox Virtual User Group Meeting. This is our second one. We've been selling Worldox for a long time and putting it into firms for quite a long time, but we realized the other day that we have a tabs 3 Practice Master Virtual User Group Meeting for our customers that use that product or that group of products, but we have never had a Worldox Virtual User Group Meeting. So here you are, and this is the second one, and it is May 2013, and today we are going to talk about bookmarks and favorite files. Mary Jo is going to talk about favorites, and I am going to talk about bookmarks. But before we do that, we're going to go here real quickly, and we're going to look at this thing that we call the Worldox, the GoToWebinar control panel. You have something that looks like this on your screen right now. We know that you do because you're in this webinar. And if this part is showing, it may be blocking my screen, and you may want to get it out of the way. And you can do that by clicking this button here that looks like arrows pointing to the right. They will slide this big part out of the way, and when they do get that big part out of the way, they will turn into arrows pointing to the left, which will, when clicked, bring this big box back into focus. Why would you want to bring that big box back into focus? Why? Because you're shy and you want to ask a question, and so you're going to type it here. Leanne, our humble moderator, will interrupt us at the appropriate time, read your question on behalf. She will be watching for you to type follow-up questions, and when we're satisfied that you've got your question answered, we will move on. Now, if you're not shy, you can leave this thing collapsed, if you will, because right here on these buttons that do stay viewable at all times is this button that looks like a hand with an arrow pointing upwards in front of it. And this button, when pressed, will raise your hand. And when Leanne notices that your hand is raised, she will wait until the appropriate time, and she will interrupt us. And when we are ready, she will unmute you, and you will be able to ask your question and your follow-up questions and make sure that you get them answered. And when that happens, we'll mute you back up again so that you can keep eating lunch, because that's what we do here. We eat lunch and we talk about Worldox. So without any further ado, I'm going to get rid of this screen here, and I'm going to bring up Worldox for Mary Jo, and she's going to tell you what this favorite files that we're looking at here is all about.
Okay, most of the time when we log into Worldox, the first thing that you will see load onto your screen is this favorite files, and it might scroll for a few seconds there, and it populates your screen right away with what we call favorites. What favorites are your last, and the default setting is 20 documents of each type. So you will have 20 emails, 20 Word documents, 20 Excel, 20 PDFs, 20 whatever your top 20 documents that you normally see or normally save will be right here on this favorite file screen. Sometimes that can get quite cumbersome. It could be quite large. There are ways to tame this list a little bit with different setting choices, different parameters. The first thing that you can do to sort your list is in this first column. You can see all the different types, so I can click on that column heading, and it will order my screen by the type of document that we have. So now I've got my Excel documents, my Word documents, and so on. So you can sort the list that way, and I'm seeing my top 20 right now. The other thing that you can do, yeah, thank you, Paul did not have control to me, so now I can actually move around. Thank you. So we are on here. If I go up here and I want to edit this, I can come in to my favorite files, and I can add or remove files from this list. So I can do that. If I want to take off certain files and not see them, I can just take them off my list. It doesn't delete them out of Worldox or anything. It just takes them off of this view. You can also add files to this list. But keep in mind, this is still only your top 20, your most recently saved, modified, reprofiled, whatever documents that you've done. And it is always static and always changing. So just because you add it to the list does not mean it's going to stick here forever and ever and ever. It's just going to be there so that you can get it there for the time being. So that is there. You can also change your preferences in Worldox. You go to your Edit Preferences in Worldox, and I do believe you need to be a manager to do this, but there is a Favorite Files History, and you can come in and you can change the number of files that you're seeing. So if 20 is too many or not enough, you can actually change those settings to be 30 or 40 or 10 or 5, whatever. And this is not how many documents you're seeing, it's how many of each type of document that you're seeing. So those settings are in here that can also be changed. So for the favorite files, you can change that. And I'm going to get back out of here. Got a little delay here on my side. There we go. The other thing, when I come into Worldox, I don't like to see that load the favorites. I want to go directly to my client matter or wherever I want to go and go directly there. I don't want to have to worry about loading up my favorites. I don't really care about this list and what I do. So I want to just get rid of that. And when I sign in and have Worldox automatically load, I want to see this screen right here. I just want to be able to go to my direct access or search or do whatever I want to do to get to my documents. So you can change your settings as to what page is your home page when Worldox loads. And that is under your Edit, Home Location. And then you can change, right now it's defaulting to the favorite files, but you can actually change that to be a different location. And if I just change it to all, I can come in and I can change my settings there to show what I want to show. And then, whoops, get out of that. Actually, it's my favorite files. There we go. I clicked on the wrong thing. On the favorite files, if I click that, I can just say I want a blank page, and it will just show me that blank page there instead of my favorites. And I can say OK. You can also go to a specific folder if you want. I can say I want that to happen every time, and I can say only for me if I just want these settings for me, because every user is different. There are users that really do want those favorite files, so I don't want to assume that everyone wants that. Now, I'm a manager, so I have that right to give those parameters to everyone. If you're not a manager, you wouldn't even see that. It would just be set for you. And then I can apply that, and now when I load Worldox the next time, instead of it loading those favorite files, it'll take me right here to this screen, and then I can just go in through direct access. Now those favorite files aren't gone. I can still get to them from this screen. If I wanted to load those favorite files, I can click on this button down here, or I can click on the little heart up here on my toolbar and get directly into those favorite files as well. So I'm not losing them, I'm just not having them automatically load when Worldox starts. As your list gets longer and longer and more documents get saved, that can take a little longer for that to load. So that's a good way to just bypass that and get directly into Worldox. The other thing that I was going to talk about is favorite matters. The favorite matters can show up over here on your file tree, and these are your most recently accessed client matters. It's not something you can add matters to, but it will show you your most recent matters that you've accessed, and I can get into those matters and click directly on them from this little file tree just by clicking the file matters. Now I can also I can remove them, so if I just right click on the matter, I can remove it from the favorite so that it's not in this tree on the side, but I cannot add to that. Another thing that I like to talk about in conjunction with this is in email with the quick profiles. If I am in my Outlook, you can add quick profiles to your email, and here these clients that I've added and created quick profiles for are permanent. I guess you get not permanent. You can take them out, but they will stay. It's not contingent on whether or not it's been the most recently accessed file. These will stay here until I take them off. And if I click on one of these, it will take me, it'll load Worldox right into my Outlook, and you'll see I'm not seeing just emails. I will also see any other documents there as well. So when I'm in Outlook, I can click on that quick profile, and it will take me directly to that matter and all the documents right there in Outlook. Now that's just another place if you do want to get matters so that they are going to stick, that is available in Outlook. Now I like to just do it right in my Worldox and just go directly in there, but others, these are personal user by user preference that you can set those settings up as. So, any questions, Leanne? Good. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Paul then.
Okay, and I'm going to talk about bookmarks. Bookmarks are kind of another way to get to things that may be favorites of yours, but it's something you have a little bit more control over. A bookmark can show up as a button For instance, if I click on Penn State, this shows all my documents relating to Penn State's legal department. If I click on Access Today, it shows me everything that I've accessed today. If I click on PEP last 14 days, it brings up a search box. We'll show about that in a second. And I can search, and these are the items that I have created in the last 14 days. Or projects actually takes us to a list of projects, which is something we're going to talk about in a couple months, actually, at the user group meeting. But these are buttons or shortcuts, if you will, to things that you use frequently. They don't have to be recently used, and you can have a lot of them. So they're a little bit more configurable. You have a little bit more control over them. Let's say that I want to create a bookmark to Purdue Law Office's files. They are a client of ours. And so if I go into my client files, profile group, and I select Purdue Law, and put in matter 00, let's say that's the one I want to create this shortcut to, and say OK. And I'm doing this through direct access, by the way. I am now looking at a list of all the files for Purdue Law's matter 00. Okay? Now, if I click on Bookmarks and add this list, I can do it for only me or everyone because I'm a manager. Mary Jo just talked about this. You can also do it for limited groups or users. So you could say, well, this should be pushed out to Mary Jo and myself, but not to Leanne. Or you can basically just pick which users would get this bookmark. Very handy. I'm going to leave it at only me for now. I'm going to go ahead and select Pin to Button Bar, and in a minute I'll show you what that means. It has defaulted to a name that represents the profile group that I'm pulling it from, the number for the particular client, and the number for the particular matter. That means nothing to me, or very little to me, I should say. So instead, I'm just going to give it a name that means something to me. So I'm going to say it's Purdue Law. I'm going to hit Save. And there's already a bookmark for Purdue Law because it is here. Hold on one second. I'm going to take this out of here. Purdue Law. I'm going to delete that. And I'm going to recreate it. I'm going to go to Bookmarks, add this list. I'm going to call it Purdue Law. I'm going to pin it to the button bar, and I'm going to do it for me. And there it is. Now, if I go back to Favorites, which is how I default when I come in, and then I click on Purdue Law, or at any time I click on Purdue Law, bam, there is Purdue Law. It's basically a shortcut. It's a bookmark, if you will, to a certain group of documents. Now, you'll notice that when we did that, it said add this list. That's what you're choosing from the Bookmarks menu. Bookmarks start as lists. In other words, you get the list of documents on the screen that you want to bookmark, whether it's a list of documents that you get to through direct access, like I just did, which lets me go straight to a specific matter for a specific client, or if it's by searching. So more on that in a second. We're going to come back to that searching way of doing things. I'm going to go back into Bookmarks, and this time I'm going to go into Manage, and I'm going to pull up Purdue Law, and I'm going to edit it, and this time I'm going to not say Pin to Button Bar, and watch what happens. Where'd it go? It's gone. Well, okay, what does that mean? I've gone into certain lawyers' offices where maybe they didn't know you could do what I'm about to show you. And so they will have literally half a page, half of their screen taken up by bookmark buttons. Not a lot of room that's left to look at documents when you do that. So I recommend this. If I don't pin it to the button bar, it shows up right down here. So you can have as many of these as you want. They'll scroll if they go past the bottom of your screen. And if they aren't nearly as important as the ones that you want out here on the button bar, then don't put them on the button bar. Put them right here. And that way you've got the best of both worlds. You can still have the bookmark, but it's not cluttering up your screen. Okay? Now, another thing that you can do, as I just mentioned, this Purdue Law, where is it? Right there. It's already gotten away from me because it's not on the button bar anymore. This Purdue Law bookmark was created from a list that was generated by going into direct access. That means I'm going to a specific folder. Maybe it's the accounting folder. Maybe it's a specific client matter folder. Maybe it's my private files. My private files could be a bookmark. But if I get to them from direct access, they're always taking me to a specific folder. I can also create bookmarks this way. So I could create a bookmark, for instance, that shows me everything that I created in the last 14 days. I know. Mary Jo's telling me I already have that, and she's right. And she doesn't want me to get into the same predicament I just got into with Purdue Law, so we'll keep that in mind. Now, if I were to try and save that, it's going to tell me I already have it, and so we won't save this. We'll instead go ahead and run it. So if I go here and click on this, it's going to take me to this screen, and if I press search, these are the documents that were created in the last 14 days. Now, as you noticed, it took me to that search screen in between, and that's because of a setting that I set when I created this bookmark. Because it's a search-based bookmark as opposed to a direct access-based bookmark, I can stipulate that I want it to either show the template or perform the search. Here's what it would do if I said to perform the search. Same bookmark, just slightly different setting, bam, it does it. It doesn't show me the template in between. Let's take it back to the way it was by going into Manage, highlighting the last 14 days, choosing Edit, take it back to the Show Template, and now when we run it, it does this. Well, why would you want to run it this way? Because you want to not only show the documents that I was responsible for creating in the last 14 days, but I want the option, the ability to further narrow that search. Maybe I'm looking for documents within the last 14 days that I created that have a certain word in the name or comment. Didn't find any, but I could do that. Let's say, what do we have? Can I stop in? I'm always asking people, can I stop in? So I'm going to search for can I stop in the last 14 days, and bam, there they are. Same thing, if we go back to it, now I can say I only want those documents that have to do with Purdue Law. Last 14 days created by me specifically for Purdue Law. Nope, none of them. Okay? So that's why you'd want it to stop here first. Instead of just performing the search, you want the ability to add a little bit more refinement to the specific criteria that you've already defined. You want to go a little bit farther than that. And it's up to you when you create the bookmark. So, to summarize, you can create bookmarks based on either direct access file lists or search lists, but it's always the finding of a list, either by going straight to Blake Kirchner and then adding their particular list as a bookmark, or by searching for something like, you know, a certain bit of text in a file or a certain bit of text in the name, and then taking the results and creating a bookmark from that list. You can pin those bookmarks to the button bar, and they will be buttons here, and this button bar will get to be longer and longer and longer. It will wrap its lines, if you will, or you can also pin a bookmark down here to the end of the bookmark menu item list, and that makes it easier for you to be able to see what's coming up, or to see what it makes it easier for you to see your screen because you're not using so much space to create these button bars out here. So that's all we have for that subject. Any questions there, Leanne, or any questions on what Mary Jo did? No questions. Okay. Now, I said to see what's coming up because I was thinking about something else. Do we have the list of what's coming up, Leanne? We thought Mary Jo had it. We had this discussion before we started, and we knew we were going to do this. Okay, so instead I will tell you, we have this Worldox virtual user group meeting every second Monday of the month, like clockwork at 1 o'clock. Now, if you go to our website, which is attorneycomputersystems.com, www.attorneycomputersystems.com, and click on the Worldox virtual user group meeting over here on the left, you will see what's scheduled, and it's also a good place to catch up on any of the ones that you have not had a chance to look at. Here's a recording of our inaugural episode last month. Here up above is some information on the one that you're attending right now, or perhaps that you're listening to in a recorded version later on. Sometime in the next couple days, we will have the one that we're recording right now out of production. It will show up here as recorded, and this will then change to show you what's coming on. So you can either see what's coming up by coming to the website. You can wait till the Thursday before the virtual user group meeting when we will send an invitation to everyone along with a list of the topics that we're going to cover. Or you can just mark your calendar for the second Monday of every month at 1 o'clock and just show up. Whichever suits your fancy, doesn't matter to us. So if there are no more questions, we will. Mary Jo she's motioning to me because she's almost to the point where she can tell me what the topics are. Button bar and column layout. The topics for next month's virtual user group meeting are the button bar. What's the button bar? Ah, the button bar. We're going to explain everything that you can do to make your button bar right here look the way you want. It's kind of a new feature of GX3. You can actually add words and change pictures and move around what's there. And also column layout. We're going to talk about how to modify and alter the column layout either firm-wide or just for specific users, and how you can have multiple column layouts that serve different purposes, all sorts of different stuff about column layout, and also about the button bar. So those are our topics for next month. Until then, have a good month, and we will see you on the second Monday of next month. Thanks much, everybody.